Hi, I'm still Turbine and this is my review of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey from 1991. This one is directed by Peter Hewitt. The only other movie of his I've seen is Garfield, which is okay, I guess. He's generally done family comedies. I don't watch that many of those. Uh, Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon return as the writers. That's great. Uh, this one starts in the future, and we have evil robot clones of Bill and Ted. Their reveal is surprisingly gnarly, dude. When they literally peel their faces back. Also, they are actually called Evil Bill and Evil Ted, and they're planning to kill and replace the real Bill and Ted for the Battle of the Bands, and they're gonna give a speech there in order to change the future. Fair enough. A bit of a whiplash, but we have heightened stakes now. Wonderful. So anyway, Evil Bill and Evil Ted throw the real Bill and Ted off a cliff and they die. At the end. Oh wait, William Sadler shows up as Death. He's pretty great. He's styled after how Death looks in The Seventh Seal, with a delightfully ridiculous and outrageous accent. But Bill and Ted managed to Melvin him and escape. I didn't know what Melvining was prior to this movie. Uh, Bill and Ted are now in incorporeal form, so they go to the police station so that Ted can possess his dad's body. It turns out to be utterly pointless, but it is funny. Then they try to communicate to the living via a seance held by Bill's stepmom. She instead banishes them to hell. And then Satan starts preying on Bill and Ted's fears. This is totally fucking metal, dude. Hell looks fucking awesome in this movie and sufficiently fucked up. It's a really cool design with great use of color and a bunch of German expressionistic sets with angles all skewy, like in Dr. Caligari. They call Satan an ugly fag and take up Death's challenge in order to return to life. They beat Death in Battleship, Clue, I think it was Table Football, and Twister. So he totally has to help them out now, dude. Death takes them to heaven to see God, so they can get this translucent circle thing with glowing paint on it. Never mentioned again. They find these tiny Martian Jim Henson troll scientists in heaven. I think we're still in heaven, and ask them to. They ask them to build good robot versions of themselves to fight the evil robot versions of themselves in the Battle of the Bands. Holy fucking shit, dude. This is some pretty involved shit right here. And even though it's way out there and venturing further and further away from time travel, the pacing is much, much better than in the first movie. And I was so much more invested in this movie's storyline. However, the third act threatens to return to some of the same problems I had with the first movie, namely unseen, convenient time travel shenanigans. They put a small twist on it this time, and time travel is also used against them by the main villain. It's too bad the main villain is really weak and barely in the movie at all. And he immediately gets counter bamboozled. That's kind of lame. Oh, the reason I haven't mentioned the princesses from the first movie, in which they were entirely pointless characters, is because they are still complete non-entities. The great film analyst and philosopher Mike Stoklasa has presented a theory that these two characters exist solely to tell the audience that Bill and Ted are totally not gay for each other, dude. And I think that's actually a halfway decent theory. I mean, there is no other discernible reason for the princesses to be there and to then stay in all of these movies. Different actors, of course. There's also the use of the derogatory term fag through both movies, which is one of the very few outdated things in these movies, apart from the surfer dude stereotype, the musical references, and of course Melvining, which, from what I understand, is just another word for giving someone a wedgie. That's a term I'm more familiar with. Anyway, of course, fag is the one controversy among people with modern sensibilities and a penchant for retroactive moralizing. Bill and Ted even call each other fags in the first movie after having a brief hug, which I found hilarious. Of course, it would be great if if in the third movie, Bill and Ted would realize that they were actually gay for each other all along, and now they're stuck with these princesses for wives and young adult kids. But I don't think they're gonna do that, and I don't really want them to. I don't want these two characters to ever change. They are extremely lovable as they are in these two movies. If anything, I want them to keep calling each other fags every time they hug for all eternity. But of course, that would be entirely too much for modern audiences to handle in the third movie, according to producers and publishers and probably even the writers. Ultimately, the worst crime this excellent movie commits is a repeat offense. There is a distinct lack of George Carlin. He's in barely 2 scenes this time. Unfucking believable. And a little unforgivable and unfortunate because they didn't get to make another sequel until the late 20-teens, when George Carlin had been dead for a decade. Anyway, I like this movie a lot better than the first one. I'm considering a 7 out of 10, as I was expecting essentially a retread of the first movie, but it took a trip to a whole other plane of existence. Literally, the ending turned out a little lacking, but it didn't bring the whole thing down too much. So yeah, I think a 7 is in order. Most triumphant, dude. Next up, Bill and Ted Face the Music, released 29 years after Bogus Journey. We'll see how that compares and or contrasts to the first two. See you there. Goodbye.